Lockdown, the Joe Show. It's me, Joe Emilio. Yes, that's me. I am here with a fellow comedian and a very old friend of mine. But first, before I bring him on, I know that the president is speaking, so this is the first thing I'm going to say. We are going to watch the president. Just by the way, we're going to watch the president together with you guys on. You guys can comment, share your thoughts, and then we might talk about what happened after the speech. We'll see. I've got the YouTube channel open on my side. He hasn't gone on yet, so we'll wait for him to go on. I mean, we knew that was going to happen. And then, so until he goes on, my guest and I will chat. When he goes on, we'll watch. We'll be quiet as much as possible, and then we'll end, and then maybe we'll give some thoughts. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Basically, what I'm trying to say is Cyril Ramaphosa is my special guest tonight, and he will come in when he comes in. Other than that, like I said, feel free to comment and ask us questions at any time. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. Got more content coming your way. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. We're not going to hear it, but it will still feel good. Please welcome Mikhail Kunneke. Say hi, Mikhail.
Good evening, Mr. Joe. I was able to keep quiet just long enough for you to finish your introduction, so I am very proud of myself.
How have you been, sir?
Actually, very busy, to be honest.
That's good.
The wife and I have found quite a lot of things to keep ourselves busy with. Estee's waving here from behind the counter. So
That's awesome.
She's also I have a live audience of a wife and a cat. So that's awesome. No, we've actually been under the circumstances. We've been very, very busy. We spent about a week painting out our lovely flat, so now we can really call our house a home.
Nice.
And I finally shot the pilot for my YouTube channel this morning. So
Nice.
That's finally been shot.
What is your YouTube channel?
Obviously it's not live yet, but the YouTube channel is Rants and Revs, where I find...
Yes, you told me about that.
Yeah, I find any topic car-related, and I essentially bitch and moan about it. Every now and then I might have an episode where I'm happy about a car-related thing, but overall it's me moaning and complaining and being a complete anorak. So yes.
All right. And what else do you have in mind? Like with that channel, is it just that?
At the moment, just that. I have the first 10 episodes planned out. So I've obviously now 9 to go. So I have topics for the first 10. At the moment, I want to keep it simple. Obviously, it's the first time I'm attempting to do a channel. So the topics are fun. They are relevant to car people.
Mm-hmm.
It's something they can relate to. It's something they will know about. Even if it's only 10% of what I'm talking of, it's enough for them to at least be able to follow. And obviously, in the beginning, keep it simple. And then I'll see later on if I want to start adding things where I don't know, possibly doing a road test on cars. Still not really sure if I want to do that. There are quite a few people that already do it, and there are 1 or 2 people on YouTube that I actually subscribe to that do it, and they're really, really good at it. They've perfected the recipe. There's not really anything I can bring. They're not comedians, they're not theater trained or whatnot, but they actually have senses of humor, and they are quite funny, and they know when to work in a joke or two. So there's not really anything I could add, apart from a bit South African flavor in regards to doing road tests on weird and wonderful cars. There's not really anything I could add, but I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah, but you also do that, Nelson. Okay, so every now and again, there's going to be someone who's going to comment, and obviously I'm going to put their comment up on screen. You won't be able to see it, but we will.
That's why I have my phone here.
Yeah. So we have Nelson de Gavea who's watching. Hello, Nelson. I interviewed him earlier in the week. Impressive beard, Joe. Thanks, man. Thanks. I'm actually growing it out. I decided to grow it out. But Mikhail, I think, has the impressive beard, to be honest. I mean, look at that. Look, you've definitely embraced the lockdown, I can see.
Well, I've been working on this since August last year. It's been trimmed a bit. It was about till here, until recently, but I needed to tidy it up a bit. But the point being is that I want to go full Viking with it. But it's all here. It's quite easy to grow, but from there on, to keep it trim and neat, that needs work. So I still have at least another year or two to get it to where I want it to be.
Yeah. Oh, well, this is going to be interesting. I wonder if Nelson's going to stay with us the entire chat, because he'll be maybe joining us when we watch the president go and do his speech. We're still waiting. I'm watching the. I just actually want to show this because this happens almost every time. I came prepared here, so y'all can see that this guy is late, and the chats are going absolutely insane. Everyone is just hella pissed off right now, which is typical. What did you call it? African time?
Yeah, Africa time. We're never on time. We get things done, but it's usually a few minutes, few hours, or possibly in certain cases a few decades late.
Decades. I don't know. By the way, Nelson, maybe you can help us out with this. We are supposed to be live on, or I'm trying to be live on Instagram as well. So if someone can please out there, maybe if Instagram is rolling right now, can someone on Instagram please let us know if you can see us or not? I'm just testing it out tonight. If anyone can tell me, comment and just tell me if we're live or not, that would be great. You'll need to comment on YouTube or Facebook though. So, but anyway, moving on from that. Okay, cool. So I know you talking about your car show actually is a good segue into what I was actually going to ask you tonight, which was I wanted to know, or I wanted our viewers to get to know you a little bit, because I've known you for years. But what some people may not know about you is that you are an extremely, like, hectic,
Massive asshole.
no, car fanatic.
Yeah. I think to family and friends and even the unsuspecting acquaintance and stranger, because I didn't talk to people, I talk at them. I am, yeah, I'm a car guy. It's no secret. Like I said, family and friends, you guys all know it. Yeah, it started out collecting model cars.
Yeah.
When I say model cars, I started as with any kid. With Matchbox and Hot Wheels and Marguerite, which is essentially the French Matchbox. I got my first two Matchbox when I was 3 months old. I still have them. They're obviously a bit play worn, but actually, for what they are, still good in condition. They are on a display case. I have retired them to being on display. And that, obviously, as I got older, that escalated, and at about just before 23, my dad and I started collecting real Mercedes-Benz models, cars we can actually climb in and drive. And at the moment, my dad and I, we have 5 Mercedes in the collection at the moment.
Cool.
So, yeah.
And that's all you collect is Mercedes?
There are one or two outliers. I told Esty, for those who don't know, my lovely wife, who has not murdered me yet. Hey, I am very happily married, but I can't speak on her behalf. If that makes sense to anyone. I actually want to buy my dream car next year.
And what is that?
It's going to be super Afrikaans. Explains me wearing fallies. I want an original, when I say original, mid to late 80s Toyota Hilux 2.4 diesel. If you've ever watched Top Gear, the Bucky they tried to kill, that was a 2.4 diesel.
Okay.
And that's my dream car. Strange enough, I don't want to, as I grew up loving Ferrari, and I actually still do, but Mercedes is a bit more approachable than owning a Ferrari. But a 2.4 diesel Toyota Hilux has just always been my dream car. It's never changed. And it's not because of Top Gear. My dad bought one when I was about 8 years old. A neighbor across the street did panel beating spray painting on essentially written off cars as extra income, more of a hobby. But he did really good work. And my dad bought a white 1986 Toyota Hilux 2.4 diesel, single cab, low body, so it wasn't a 4x4, and it's been 20 years, almost 21, and the love for them has not died at all.
Cool. I don't know a lot about cars. For those of you who are wondering, I don't know a lot about cars. I actually get a lot of my information from Mikhail. If anything, he's definitely a good source to go to for cars. And just very quickly, I just want to say, I don't know what Nelson meant by say bro, not Joe. Okay. Solomon is your friend, I believe. Mokwena. Do you know Solomon Mokwena?
No, I don't know Solomon.
He says we with you, and Vera says hi. Hi, Vera. And Nelson's let us know that we are not on Instagram, unfortunately. And here is the president.
Yes.
So let's go to that.
We'll try and shut up.
Riperile, Sanbonani, Molweni, Dumelang, Goeienaand. Good evening. My fellow South Africans, at midnight tonight, it will be exactly 2 weeks since our country entered into an unprecedented nationwide lockdown to contain the spread of the coronavirus. During the course of these last 2 weeks, your lives have been severely disrupted. You have suffered great hardship and endured much uncertainty. We have closed our borders to the world. Our children are not in school. Businesses have closed their operations. Many have lost their income, and our economy has ground to a halt. And yet, faced with such daunting challenges, you, the people of South Africa, have responded with remarkable patience and courage. You have respected the lockdown and largely observed its regulations. You have accepted the severe restrictions on your movement and many of the daily freedoms that we all take for granted. You have done so because you have understood the devastating effect of this disease, the effect that it will have on the health and well-being of all South Africans unless we take drastic measures. You have also understood that we must do everything in our power to prevent the massive loss of life that would occur if we do not act. For your cooperation, for your commitment, and above all, for your patience, I do wish to thank you personally. I wish to thank you for your reaffirming to each other and to the world that we South Africans are a people who come together and unite at moments of great crisis. Earlier today, I had a productive meeting with our premiers about the work they are doing in provinces and districts to stop the spread of the virus. I also had a discussion with the leaders of all our political parties represented in Parliament, who collectively pledged their support for the efforts that we are doing to make sure that we combat the pandemic. Through this, we are demonstrating that we are able to work together across party political lines to confront a common threat. Since I announced the lockdown just over 2 weeks ago, the global coronavirus pandemic has worsened. 2 weeks ago, there were 340,000 confirmed coronavirus cases in the world. We now have over 1.5 million confirmed cases worldwide. Over 90,000 people across the world have died from this disease. The health systems of many countries have been overwhelmed. Even the most developed economies in the world have not had the means to treat the many thousands who have fallen ill. They have struggled to find the medical supplies and personnel necessary to deal with the pandemic. The devastating effect of this is that many people have died. The global evidence is simply overwhelming. It confirms that our decision to declare a national state of disaster and to institute a nationwide lockdown was correct and it was timely. While it is too early to make a definitive analysis of the progression of the disease in South Africa, there is sufficient evidence to show that the lockdown is indeed working. Since the lockdown came into effect, the rate at which new cases have been identified here in South Africa has slowed down significantly. From 1,170 confirmed cases on the 27th of March, the number of confirmed cases today stands at 1,934. In the 2 weeks before the lockdown, the average daily increase in new cases was around 42%. Since the start of the lockdown, the average daily increase has been around 4%. While we recognize the need to expand testing to gain a better picture of the infection rate, this does represent real progress. The measures we have taken, such as closing our borders and prohibiting gatherings, as well as the changes that we have had to each take in our behavior, have definitely slowed the spread of the virus. But the struggle against the coronavirus is far from over. We are only at the beginning of a monumental struggle that demands our every resource and our every effort. We cannot relax, and we cannot be complacent. In the coming weeks and months, we must massively increase the extent of our response and expand the reach of our interventions. We are learning both from the experiences of other countries and from the evidence we now have about the development of the pandemic in South Africa. Both make a clear and compelling case to proceed in a manner that is cautious and properly calibrated. Simply put, if we end the lockdown too soon or too abruptly, we risk a massive and uncontrollable resurgence of the disease. We risk reversing the gains that we have made over the last few weeks and rendering meaningless the great sacrifices that we have all made. Fellow South Africans, this evening I stand before you to ask you to endure even longer. I have to ask you to make even greater sacrifices so that our country may survive this crisis and so that tens of thousands of lives may be saved. After careful consideration of the available evidence, the National Coronavirus Command Council has decided to extend the nationwide lockdown by a further 2 weeks beyond the initial 21 days. This means that most of the existing lockdown measures will remain in force until the end of April. We will use the coming days to evaluate how we will embark on risk-adjusted measures that can enable a phased recovery of the economy, allowing the return to operation of certain sectors under strictly controlled conditions. We will also use this time to ramp up our public health interventions. We did not take this decision to extend the lockdown lightly. As your president, I'm mindful of the great and heavy burden this will impose on you. I am keenly aware of the impact this will have also on our economy. But I know, as you do, that unless we take these difficult measures now, unless we hold this course for a little longer, the coronavirus pandemic will engulf and ultimately consume our country. We all want the economy to come back to life. We want our people to return to work. We want our children to go back to school. And we all want to be able to move around freely again. But our immediate priority must remain to slow down the spread of the virus and to prevent a massive loss of life. We must do this while preventing our economy from collapsing and saving our people from hunger. We are determined to pursue a path that both saves lives and protects livelihoods. Our strategy in confronting this moment that confronts our country is made up of three parts. Firstly, an intensified public health response to slow down and reduce infections. And secondly, a comprehensive package of economic support measures to assist businesses and individuals affected by the pandemic. And thirdly, a program of increased social support to protect poor and vulnerable households. As government, together with our many partners, we have used this lockdown period to both refine and intensify our public health strategy to manage the virus. Our approach is to screen in communities and test people in hospitals, clinics, and mobile clinics, to isolate those who are infected and to care for those who are ill in our health facilities. We need to do this intensively and systematically. We have used the last week to develop our screening and testing methodology in various parts of the country. Over the next 2 weeks, we will roll out the community screening and testing program across all provinces, focusing in particular on highly vulnerable communities. Those who test positive and cannot self-isolate at home will be isolated at special facilities that have been identified and are now being equipped. At all times, we will observe the human rights of all our people. Let us not discriminate against those people who test positive. To ensure that our strategies are effectively coordinated and to ensure that they are informed by comprehensive, real-time data, we have established the COVID-19 Information Center at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, the CSIR. This world-class center will keep track of all screening, testing, isolation, and hospitalization of our people throughout the country. It is already identifying infection hotspots. It is following the spread and the severity of the disease and enabling us to move our focus and resources where they are most needed. We are working with mobile telephony companies and other institutions to locate those people who have tested positive for the virus and those with whom they have been in contact. As part of the second element of our strategy, we have put in place various measures to provide support to businesses in distress, to workers facing loss of income, to the self-employed, and to informal businesses. Many of these measures are being taken up by both large and small businesses. The Unemployed Insurance Fund has set aside 40 billion rand to help employees who will be unable to work as part of the effort to prevent job losses as a result of the lockdown. To date, it has paid out 356 million rand. I would like to applaud all those employers who have continued to pay their employees during this difficult time, as well as those employers who are working with unions and government to assist their employees to access these benefits. I'd like to call on all businesses to continue to pay their suppliers to the extent that they can, to ensure that those suppliers can also continue to operate and pay their staff and suppliers. In this respect, I would like to appeal to all large businesses not to resort to force majeure and stop paying their suppliers and rental commitments, as such practice has a domino effect on all other businesses dependent on that chain. We must do all we can to ensure that the underlying economy continues to function and to focus support on those small businesses that really need them. The Industrial Development Corporation, the IDC, has set aside 3 billion rand for the procurement of essential medical supplies. It has already approved 130 million rand in funding and expects to approve a further 400 million in the coming week to companies who applied for funding under this special facility. The Small Enterprise Finance Agency has approved the postponement of loan repayments for a period of 6 months. The Small Business Debt Relief and Business Growth Facilities are currently adjudicating applications for assistance. There is a total of 500 million rand available in support. Government has prioritized 1.2 billion rand to provide relief to smaller farmers and to contribute to the security of food supply. In addition to these expenditure measures, the Reserve Bank has also lowered interest rates and has taken measures to inject liquidity into the economy. One of the biggest challenges that all countries in the world are facing at the moment is the shortage of medical supplies to fight the coronavirus, the shortage of masks, personal protective equipment, and many others. Now, as a country, we have had to rely on our own capabilities to supply some of these goods, but we have also had to source supplies from other countries. In recent weeks, we have seen a massive mobilization of South African business, labor, academics, and government agencies to build the stocks of medical and other equipment needed to fight this virus. We have, for example, established the National Ventilator Project to rapidly mobilize the technical and industrial resources of our country to manufacture non-invasive ventilators, which can be used to support patients that are afflicted by the disease. Other projects are focusing on increasing the local manufacture of protective face masks, hand sanitizers, and pharmaceutical products which can be used by healthcare workers and the public at large. As the third part of our coronavirus response, we have been working to provide basic needs such as water and to maintain the reliability of food supply to the poorest South Africans. We have also expanded the provision of food parcels, and we've provided our spaza shops with financial support who need it. To date, government has delivered over 11,000 water storage tanks to communities in need across the country, and many of these have already been installed. In addition, 1,000 water tankers have been provided for the delivery of water. Several homeless people have been accommodated in 154 shelters. I'm pleased to report that the Solidarity Fund, which was established to mobilize resources from companies, organizations, and individuals to combat the coronavirus pandemic, has so far raised around 2.2 billion rand. It has already allocated around 1 billion rand to buy sterile gloves, face shields, surgical masks, test kits, and ventilators. It will also allocate funds for humanitarian relief to vulnerable households, in addition to the 400 million rand set aside by government for social relief of distress grants. All of these efforts, while necessary and commendable, will not be sufficient on their own to cushion the poor from the impact of this pandemic, nor will they provide the relief that businesses and their employees require. Additional extraordinary measures will need to be put in place in the coming weeks and months to absorb the sudden loss of income to both businesses and individuals. We are in a situation that demands swift action and exceptional methods, a situation that demands innovation and mobilization of every resource that we have. Cabinet will be developing a comprehensive package of urgent economic measures to respond both to the immediate crisis, to the severe economic challenges that we must confront in the months ahead. Further announcement on this next phase of our economic and social support strategy will be made in due course. An essential part of our response to this emergency is the principle of solidarity. From across society, companies and individuals have come forward to provide financial and other forms of assistance. In support of this effort, we have decided that the President, the Deputy President, Ministers and Deputy Ministers will each take a 1/3 cut in their salaries for the next 3 months. This portion of their salaries will be donated to the Solidarity Fund. We are calling on other public office bearers and executives of large companies to make a similar gesture and to further increase the reach of this national effort. I must say that the premiers of our country and our provinces have also joined in, that they will also take a 1/3 pay cut and donate that to the Solidarity Fund. We also welcome a number of other initiatives that are being made by companies, and today I was able to receive and to welcome the donation of 20,000 cell phones that was made by Vodacom, so that our health workers who are going to be involved in screening and tracing in communities will be able to utilize an app that is installed on those cell phones so that it links up with our data center at the CSIR. As we have stressed before, and we will stress once again, our struggle against the coronavirus requires fundamental changes in behavior from all of us. Until we have contained the virus, the same rules remain. Shaking hands, hugging, sitting close to each other, and other forms of physical contact enable this virus to be transmitted and must be avoided. We must continue to wash our hands regularly and thoroughly using water and soap or sanitizer. To stay safe and to keep others safe, we must continue to respect whatever restrictions that are placed on our movement and on our daily lives. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been speaking to other African leaders about a coordinated Africa continental effort to combat the coronavirus and to support our people and our economies. We have established an African Union COVID-19 Response Fund to mobilize resources necessary to support this effort. We have reached out to other world leaders in other countries, even as they struggle with the pandemic in their own countries, to assist the continent with essential medical supplies and support a comprehensive stimulus package for African countries' economies. As we confront this disease in our country, we are part of a great global effort that is bringing humanity together in ways that many never thought possible. For billions across the world, and for us here in South Africa, the coronavirus pandemic has changed everything. We can no longer work in the same way that we did before. As government, as NGOs, as political parties, as large corporations and small businesses, as financial institutions, as community organizations, and as South Africans, we will need to adapt to a new reality. As we emerge from this crisis, our country will need to undergo a process of fundamental change and reconstruction. To do so, we will draw on our strengths, our abundant natural resources, our advanced infrastructure, our deep financial markets, our proven capabilities in information and communication, and the depth of talent amongst our own people. We will draw on our proven capacity for innovation and creativity, our ability to come together in a crisis, and our commitment to each other and our common future. We will learn from global experience and the best scientific evidence, but we will craft a uniquely South African response that uses our own capabilities as a nation. This weekend is a sacred time for many South Africans. For many, it will be difficult to spend this time without their friends and family. I ask that you keep in your thoughts tonight and in our land those who are vulnerable and destitute and those who are alone. I ask that you give what you can to alleviate their burden, to contribute to the Solidarity Fund in any way that you can. This is a difficult time for all of us, yet the message of Easter is one we carry in our hearts tonight. It is the message of hope, of recovery, and rebirth. As we walk this road together, as we struggle to defeat this pandemic, we remain strong and united and resolved as South Africans. Much is being asked of you, far more than should ever be asked. But we know that this is a matter of survival, and we dare not fail. I know we shall recover, and I also know that we shall overcome. May God bless South Africa and protect her people. I thank you.
Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. Mikhail, you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. I was just keeping quiet for longer than I've ever kept quiet in my life.
Yeah. For those Facebook, YouTube, I hope you guys are still with us. I'm just gonna quickly get set up here. Keisha, I see your response there. Just give me one quick second as I get set up here. I have to get this all back. There we go. All right. Let's do this. Let me open. Just bear with me, guys. Sorry. Yeah, I've got a lot to say. Let me say that I've got quite a bit to say. Like I've got quite a bit to say. I'm not gonna lie. I just wanted to get you up on the screen as well. All right, so for those of you who may have tuned in during that speech, this is Mikhail Kunneke, a fellow comedian and friend of mine. We're going to have our normal sit-down and lockdown show, which we still are going to do. We're still going to talk. But I got to get something off my chest. There were comments were coming through while the broadcast was happening. I'm going to put them up on the screen now. We had Vera. We had Roger. Roger, if you're still watching, I hope you still are. You were on Facebook. I can't say some of the things you were saying because they're swearing, but I gotta say this. I gotta say this because this is one of the first things Roger said about 2 weeks. Um, I I I called it. If anybody goes on my YouTube channel and goes to Lockdown Diaries, my little series that I've got going, and I think it's the first week in, maybe just after the first week, because I've been documenting each day, and they're very short, so you can check them out. But somewhere within the week or close to 2 weeks, I said in that vlog, I said if the first announcement that they make and they extend it, it's going to be a minimum of 2 weeks if they extend it. I called it, I knew it, and I just wanted to brag a bit on that. That's why I kind of freaked out if anybody was watching me in the corner, I kind of freaked out. But the other thing I want to say is I commend and I am happy that the president has decided the government really, has decided to take cuts on their salary. That's awesome. That is awesome. But my heart bleeds for the entertainment industry. Now, I have to quickly talk about this. Does anyone know? Comments below, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, please, even if you're watching this after the fact, please comment and let me know if you know about anything to do with the entertainment industry getting any form of help. Because, yes, there are a ton of people that are going to be affected by this, no doubt, and my heart goes out to them too. But the film industry, the theater industry, everything, all comedians, all actors, singers, well, you name it, we are doing this kind of stuff, live streaming, but that's free. There's nothing coming in. All our jobs are gone. Comedy cartel business, guys, I gotta be honest, I don't know if it's gonna be alive after this. I don't know if we can sustain another 2 weeks because remember, even after 2 weeks, there probably won't be any comedy shows with Comedy Cartel for another 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, because the businesses need to recoup what they've lost. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening. So if anybody knows any information on that, please let me know. Keisha says, "Wow!" Rolling eyes and applause. Yeah, it's bad. Vera says, "Puff that." You meant vape. You said vape. There we go. Puff that vape. Yeah, it was interesting, no doubt. And I don't know how I feel about helping other countries. I don't know if I should say anything about that. But let's go to Mikhail. And what do you think?
Well, I'm going to be honest. Esty and I, once again, for those who've tuned in, my lovely wife, we've discussed this, that there was going to be a possibility of extending it. Yes. Not as Nostradamus as yourself calling it that it's going to be 2 weeks, but not all of us have the Nostradamus gene, apparently. But we had a feeling that it would be extended. Yeah. Now, from my point of view, as someone that consults small businesses and is myself a small business owner, it's kind of weird being both sides of the sword. There are some certain things I agree with and certain things I don't agree with. I agree with the need for extending the lockdown.
Yeah.
Purely based on the fact that we can sugarcoat it as much as we want to. South Africa has a massive discrepancy between the wealthy and the poor.
Yeah.
And we have not gotten the scary figures yet of what COVID-19 is doing in informal settlements, where you have 10, 12, 15 people living in 20 square meters if they're lucky. It's people living literally on top of one another.
Yeah.
We're lucky. From lower middle class all the way up to the wealthy, we live in suburbs. We can stay away as much as we need to. Obviously, you still need to pop into the store for something like bread. It's a fresh good. You can't stock up on bread. You have to go out every couple of days. But we're lucky. We are cushioned against it. So the scary numbers are still yet to come. Yes, we are hopefully flattening the curve, but like I said, the scary numbers need to come. So with regards to that, I agree 100% that it needs to be extended. Sorry.
Yeah.
The problem I have is, and I'm in agreement with you, because in theory, because you are a small business owner, which Comedy Cartel is,
yeah.
You should be able to apply for a bailout package. But I haven't really seen a lot of effort being made with regards to information about how should people go about that. Do you have to give bank statements? Do you need to have a proof of a registered business? And a lot of people don't know that you don't need a lawyer and all that, for example, to draw up documents to be a single business owner. But things like that. Do you need to have proof that you actually have a business? Do they need bank statements? All the documents required to prove that you've taken a knock. So I think from a public education point of view, I think that needs to be clarified.
Well, I can clarify it. I've done the research. I went in to look for that. What's that one with Oppenheimer? What's that? The guy that the families that donated $2 billion.
Harry Oppenheimer and Anton Rupert.
Yes,
Rupert.
Their fund requires you to have been open for at least 2 years as a small business. You need to have a turnover of less than, I think, 20 million a year, which obviously I fall under, but I don't fall under the 2 year. I'm approaching my 2 year. So that
if you include That's Funny and Comedy Cartel as a rebrand, you can actually use your launch date of the hashtag That's Funny.
But there's no evidence of a business as That's Funny. Like they ask for the whole CIPC documents. They want to see that. They ask for bank statements to see your turnover. They ask for a whole lot of other stuff. But yeah, those were the things that I was like, yeah, well then I'm not going to be eligible. That's just the truth. Which is why I asked about the if there's an entertainment fund like arts and culture, are they doing anything in the government section? Because the last thing I heard about arts and culture is they were only helping. If it was I could be wrong, but I need someone to correct me. What I read and what I understood from what I read was that if it was a event that was booked by the government and it was canceled, they will pay you they will reimburse you, and they would help legends, and that term is very broad. So I don't, from that point of view, I don't know what that means. So yeah, that's what I know.
From my side, I think the best you can do is obviously do some more research, and I think take the chance. If there's an email address, pop an email and see.
Yeah.
Whether you get a yes or a no, at least you get an answer.
Yeah.
If you at least drop a mail going, this is my situation. And then, okay, obviously as someone that smokes, this does hit home, but even my friends that have gone over to smoking e-cigarettes, it's apparently called vaping, sounds so stupid. I recently read an article that the banning of tobacco-based products, it's R1 billion a month knock.
Wow.
That the economy takes.
Wow.
I watched your podcast with Nelson, who's a great friend of both of ours.
Yes.
And as a recovering alcoholic, on the one hand, I obviously don't actually care about the alcohol sales because I'm recovering alcoholic. It's not my problem anymore. But on the other hand, for example, my wife and my aunt and my parents-in-law actually still enjoy a glass of wine and whatnot. So I understand from the one hand that banning of alcohol sales during lockdown does bring down, hopefully, things like domestic abuse,
Yes.
and drunk driving and all the horrible things that go with drinking irresponsibly. So I'm in agreement with that.
Yeah.
But I feel the cigarette ban, apart from the billion rand a month loss that's going to incur, and 11,000 jobs are going with it.
Yeah, no.
And that was the minimum estimate with regards to the tobacco industry.
Yeah.
I've now listened to the budget and everything sounds fair. But the problem is that people need to understand is the money that's now being put aside, this safety net, that's it. There's nothing after that. We've had really bad economic growth for the past 3 years, thanks to that other stupid, shower-headed bastard that was supposed to lead the country beforehand. Who bought a really big house with a swimming pool and you will never use it.
It was meant for a fire.
Yeah. Okay. Well, on the other hand, I love the fact that the previous elections in Kandla falls within the Inkatha Freedom Party municipality. The ANC's greatest rival is now controlling the municipal area when the Kandla is. I find that bloody hilarious. The fact that it hasn't been burned down already is a miracle on its own. They possibly could have had a use for the fireball now that the IFP's running the show there.
There's an interesting comment here that I wanted to go back to. Roger Bruners, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know if you're still watching, Roger, but we heard the president quickly mention the whole tracking on cell phones and stuff like that, which is very scary. He asked, is tracking COVID-19 on digital platforms safe? Is our data safe in the hands of the government? Personally, no. I don't trust ANC. I don't trust them. I don't trust them. I really don't. But I don't trust any government, to be honest. I don't trust. I know the Chinese have done it. I know other countries are doing it. I wouldn't even trust the American government doing it, to be honest. And we know they've been spying on us for years. But yeah, I don't know. What's your take on that, Mikhail?
Well, firstly, I'm glad you mentioned it. Your lovely home country has had the Patriot Act since the Bush administration, which is essentially federal law that they can track whatever you do and how you do it.
Yep.
And obviously the RICO laws, for example, in the US, you have the RICO law that if any grouping, I think, larger than 10 can be deemed to be a conspiracy. And when I say conspiracy, I'm not talking about aluminium or tin foil hats. Talking about organized crime. If you look at your country's history in the 70s and 80s with the mafia and organized crime, that's referred to as a conspiracy to commit crime. So yeah, government surveillance as a whole, I have a problem with. Not because it's a very difficult situation. A very good friend of mine who grew up in a very, very police and military home, and we had a conversation, and we both thought that on the one hand, government monitoring, I don't have a problem with if it can prevent a terrorist attack. Mm. If in this case with COVID-19, prevent people spreading fake news, false facts, anything that could cause mass hysteria. Yes, I'm in agreement with it. But the problem is, I'm not going to be able to quote it in Latin, but that whole statement about who will guard the gods. You have these people that are able now to check on your media and your data and whatnot about whether you're doing right or wrong, but who's checking up on them that their actions are right and wrong?
Yes, no, absolutely.
And as I obviously making the statement again, the whole who will guard the gods, who our government has shown, unfortunately, for the past 10 years specifically, to be inept in many regards. So you can't tell me that now all of a sudden they've grown a moral backbone and will make use of this properly.
No. I don't. I mean, what worries me, to be honest, like, is just the application. I mean, first of all, besides the safety part of it, because now they have access to our phones and they can look in and they can get into our personal stuff and geolocate us and all that stuff.
I have really great photos if they're interested.
The issue I have is, like, there's a lot of things in South Africa that don't work. And I'm
But all of it.
So how efficient really is that system going to be? I mean, like, they might come to me, like, as far as I know, I don't have COVID, and what if they come to me and say, oh, you're infected, and I say, no, I'm not, and then they have a test or whatever, and it's like, oh, you're not infected. Yeah, but your app said I was. So how efficient really is it? You know, I'm just worried that it's not going to work. I understand the need to do it. I get that. I just, again, I mean, we can debate about this for a very long time. There are people out there that say, no, but it's for the safety, and it's for the safety. And, okay, cool, it's for the safety. I get that. But where do you draw the line? As you just said, who guards the guards? Because they also need guarding. Who knows what they'll use, what information they'll use against us, what they'll tap into. Who's going to check and make sure that whoever's on that program or system is doing it ethically?
In the perfect world, what would be ideal is, obviously I am speaking way above my pay grade. This is purely based on what I've learned with my very little of reading about it. Technology scares me. As I said to you earlier while we were going online, if I can't fix it with a hammer or a spanner, I'm not interested. There's a reason why most of the cars my dad and I own have carburetors, because I can actually still work on them.
Yeah.
Is if in this case, with things like social media and internet traffic and whatnot, if the Department of Intelligence, and obviously they will be working with the Department of Health and obviously Public Safety, which is usually the police and Metro Police and all those people in the Department of Defense, if you could write a simple algorithm that just red flags certain words or phrases and then investigate it. Now, obviously, I'm saying simple, but obviously writing an algorithm is intricate and difficult and time-consuming. But compared to the type of algorithms that the Chinese government use with regards to their internet traffic, and for example, the Patriot Act and all the satellites and computers that go with that, in comparison to that, a simple algorithm that red flags certain statements or phrases, keywords, for example, and then you have someone that at least goes and looks into it.
Yeah.
Was he spreading fake news, or was it a case of he was purely stating, look, these people are dumb because they believe said fake news? So that you can at least clarify that. But obviously, I'm not there. I don't have the physical training to do something like that. So in that regard, in the perfect world, that would be ideal.
Yeah.
But you have no idea what net is being cast. You don't know how big. Are they going full-blown Patriot Act type of surveillance, or are they going to keep it small and just look for the red flags?
Yeah.
So that's difficult. Yes, the whole big brother is watching. Yes, I do have a problem with it. That's very Afrikaans of me. I want you to stay the bloody hell away from my yard and whatever I do on it. If I don't know you, bugger off. If there is possibly a lost international viewer, Afrikaners as a culture as a whole, we like to be left alone and don't come close to our stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously from that point of view, it's like, no. And the old government, the NP government, was known as also Big Brother was watching. Obviously not as much technology, but my culture, my people have had a history with either being the Big Brother watching or still having been watched by Big Brother. So we would prefer not to. And I think a lot of people as well don't want an intimate message between you and your partner for your eyes only to all of a sudden be running through a computer system with some kid that grew up in his basement playing Age of Empires, and now he gets his rocks off because he's seen something more erotic than Twilight.
Oh man. Well, you know what? Only time will tell. I guess. Yeah. Well, guys, we are locked down for an extra 2 weeks. That will bring the total to 5 weeks of lockdown. I guess this YouTube channel will continue going. I'll continue to interview guys and push out content as much as possible. Let me know in the comments if you would support me on Patreon. That's the only thing that I can think of that I might be able to get a little bit of income of some sort. But I know that everyone's struggling, so I don't know how well that's going to go, if it's even worth it. So, but regardless, I'm still going to put out content as much as possible. So let's move on from that. Let's let people digest that. Let's try and talk about some lighter topics. And I think I have a really good topic to start out with here. Now, you won't be able to see this on your side. So if you want, you can open up YouTube and just mute it on your computer or something, so that you can see this. But I thought that I would show people. Well, let me start with this first. So Mikhail and I, for those of you who are wondering who Mikhail is and how I actually know him, is a few years ago we were involved in a comedy group, a boy band, known as the Loose Nuts. Now, obviously, that's not really well known. It disbanded, I think, we were together for like a year and a half or something.
Yeah, I'm just going to give a bit, I'm going to interrupt you now. I just want to give a bit of background.
Yeah, go ahead.
Short and sweet. Or in my case, try and be short and sweet. Okay, so for people that don't know, Joe and I literally started stage time basically together. We met at one of his first couple of shows. It was my first show, so we've been friends. We've been sharing the stage for 7 years. And how it started, a mutual, used to be a friend of ours, now more just an acquaintance. He was organizing a comedy gig at a local pub and restaurant in Stellenbosch.
Yes.
And I did an open mic slot there, and obviously it started growing or whatnot. And what happened was, this acquaintance of ours was trying to get more gig time on his own. So what happened was, he asked me whether I would manage him. I'd done 2 shows, but I said yes, because I'm very good at admin. I love admin because I'm weird. And then Joe and the other group of mates caught wind of this, and then they approached me and went, listen, don't you want to be all of our managers because you're good at admin?
Yeah, that's
And
true.
I'm like, okay, fine, we'll do it. Now, I didn't think I was too bad. I got us a gig. We were nobodies, and I got us a gig at the Boer, and we got paid and lunch
that's
and
true.
dinner. I got us the Boer, which was usually invite only to perform at. Firstly, we got paid and free beer and food, and we were nobodies. We literally had not. If we had 5 hours of stage time together, that would have been a miracle on its own. I got us to perform at Stellenbosch for the Arctic Fear, and then halfway through the show, a friend of ours who was part of Loose Nuts buggered it up for all of us. Well, we got a gig, and we also got free entrance.
Wait, remind me again. What did he do?
Sean, I'm not going to finish it because people are going to stalk him. Okay, on the other hand, he's become a hermit, so I don't think they'll find him to start off with. But halfway through, I got us the gig. It was a paying gig and free alcohol and free food and
Fuck
some.
Off Belisica were headlining. I remember that.
Yeah. Our previously spoken of acquaintance got the luck to MC. We were meant to MC. So each headlining performing act, we broke up to MCing beforehand. And I'd gone on, I opened, and you'd gone on, and then Sean the Hermit went on, and then he dropped a massive P-bomb.
Oh, yes.
And then we were chased away. Okay, we still took a lot of alcohol on our way out. And then we spent the rest of the evening partying up a storm in Stellenbosch because we couldn't gig anymore because of him. But in any case, I digress. So I became manager of the group, and then that lasted for about and I got us the second Cape Town Cannabis Walk.
Yes.
I got us to MC that event.
Yes, you did.
which I think I'm the short time as a manager, I'm very proud of that because I don't think any of us believed we could, and that's actually where I met Nelson essentially.
Yes,
and became friends with him.
That's true.
Because he was our +1 because we needed one extra one.
And wasn't Werner Weber?
Yeah, it was sort of organized through him because before he turned into a hermit, he's also become like a... He is!
Yeah, both of them, Sean and Werner, have gone off into the wilderness. I mean, I still hear from Werner every now and again, but...
Yeah, he's still active on Facebook.
Yeah,
at least,
but Sean is...
No, Sean has got like full Bear Grylls. There's a photo of him drinking his own piss. It was actually through his Comedy Cartel-esque booking company that we got the gig. I took a shot in the dark and we got it.
Yeah.
Any case, once again for the views, we all decided that let's rather as a group organize gigs and perform together, and then so became the Loose Nuts, and then obviously you can continue.
Yeah, so basically I wanted to show some pictures of us. We went one day and we took a photo shoot together, and I don't know if you remember that photo shoot, and I thought I would just show the audience. It was a great photo shoot. The photographer Suki is amazing. She no longer does photography, or at least she doesn't do it professionally. She's now turned it into a hobby. But she was fantastic. She's also taken photos of me after that. But yeah, I came across these photos, and some of them are. I'm gonna put them up now. Just give me a second. I don't know why this thing is still here. Let's just get that away.
Oh, you used one of the photos of me from that shoot for tonight, so...
Yes, that was this photo. I'll start with that photo. That was this photo. I'm putting it up on the screen now. I don't know how she got that. I don't remember you freezing like that. But that looks very... Yeah, I don't know what that is, dude. Yeah, that's just... Yeah, no comment.
I'm going to guess it's my creepy Uncle Roger one.
Uncle Roger, that's the one. That's what I was looking for. I knew you called it something.
The creepy Uncle Roger.
Yes, the creepy Uncle Roger.
I was expecting it to be that one. My phone just died, so I'm going to quickly open YouTube here in the background. But yeah, that was the creepy Uncle Roger one. I don't ask me how or why it existed, but it did.
I think one of the most interesting things is that you have a Matrix 09 jersey.
Hey, I still have that jersey. I love that jersey. I am very, very loyal to my high school, and I do not miss inter-schools. I've not missed inter-schools once in 11 years. So yeah, that definitely hasn't changed. Now YouTube, obviously, don't be stupid. I just want to switch off the volume here. Yeah, that was the creepy Uncle Roger look. There we go. Yeah, the creepy Uncle Roger as we know it.
All right. Well, what about this one? Let's see. There's some group photos now. Don't know if you remember this one.
Obviously, there's a bit of the delay, but yeah, no, the creepy Uncle Roger I remember very, very well. I've always called it my creepy Uncle Roger. Luckily, that persona has left the comedy stage. I don't do that little look anymore when I'm on stage.
Oh, thank goodness. All right, so this one that's going to come up now is a photo of all of us, and I will start from the... I'll actually start from Sean, so he's the guy on the left, I think.
That's the hermit.
Yeah. So we got Sean, we've got you there kneeling as well. Then that's Mark, then myself, and Alton Riddles, who's also kind of disappeared. All of us, look, I'll say this, all of us were quite funny. I'm not going to lie. I think if the whole group had managed to stay together, I think we would have come up with some great stuff. But yeah, this was an interesting photo. I really like this photo, actually, but I forget what the purpose of the photo was.
It was the holy mic.
Oh, is that it? The holy mic.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Sean doesn't look impressed with the holy mic. I look like I'm trying to convince Sean that it's a holy mic. That's everyone else is convinced.
No,
Sean,
I'm going
not
to
so
be
much.
honest. I'm going to be honest. In that photo, I look like a really, really bad white version of Megamind.
That's very true. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna pull up this one. Let's see. What do we have here? Oh my word.
The delay here on YouTube is making it worse. I'm too scared to look.
Oh my word. What is why? There's so many questions. Um, yeah, there's so many questions. Um,
I've got a gut feeling if it when or not if when it comes up. I have yeah no um I don't know. That was I don't know.
do you
Was
remember this? Do you remember this photo?
I do remember this photo. I think it's our really bad South African version of Brokeback Mountain. I
Oh
don't
my
know.
word. Alton
Um,
looks like the chosen one. And you look like you're waiting for your turn, and Sean, I don't know, he looks too impressed. Um,
I'm going to break it down for you. Alton here's the prison bitch. I'm apparently can't wait my turn, and Sean is giving his sup sugar look there.
oh man, yeah, I cannot believe I've kept these, man. Okay, so this one I'm gonna pull up two at the same time here. Um, because I'm gonna start. This was back in the day now when I was trying my Photoshop skills, and I'm gonna move them a bit to the side here, and they'll pop up eventually on your side. So I was just. This is actually a nice way of showing who was who. But yeah, there's our logo, the Loose Nuts logo. It's gonna come up now, which I designed. And then people will see the Loose Nuts Stand Up Comedy Group. They will
Yeah,
never.
but
Wait, our tagline was brilliant. The Loose Nuts Stand Up Comedy Group. They will never leave you hanging.
I think I will be honest. I think it was quite original for what it was. And yeah, I think if we stuck together, and I think if everyone put in the same effort, we could have had a comedy group,
Yeah,
a
we could have.
proper one.
Yeah, we could have. Absolutely.
But people go their separate ways, and a person who will not be named was caught for being a hack
Yeah.
at a comedy competition of all things.
Yeah.
Um, so I think in that regard, it's probably best that it happened that way. But we had good times. We did gigs that we weren't ever supposed to get
Yeah.
for what we are or for what we were.
Yeah.
We were all five of us were truly starting out green off the boat comedians. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, we got gigs we weren't supposed to, and I think we didn't do too bad. Yes, obviously, you and I have continued, and okay, we've gone, and our trajectories have been very much different. But our material now and our personas and what we do is a lot more polished than it was back then.
Oh yeah.
But for what we were, I don't think we were terrible.
Well, Nelson thinks we were cute, so he commented on YouTube saying that he just said cute.
But he has to think that because he was always our bloody +1.
Look, we did have some amazing shows in Stellenbosch. I mean, Stellenbosch will always have a soft spot in my heart for in terms of doing shows there, because that is where my comedy career started as well as yours.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll never forget the first time, because we basically what had happened is we started. It was always the five of us doing the show, always for like a while, and then we decided, cool, let's start getting some Cape Town guys involved. And Nelson was the first guest act that we had there, and he blew the show away. Like really, he really blew it away, and it was one of my favorite shows that I've ever been at. Definitely in the top 10. And I don't know how you feel about that.
No, Stellenbosch was very much our home. And before lockdown, you and I were going to perform at the same place after 7 years again. And I was looking forward to it. It was going to be a little walk down nostalgia road for us.
I was a bit nervous. I was really nervous. Like as the days were going by, I was quite nervous to be going back, because I hadn't been there since the last show I haven't gone again there since the last show we had there. I haven't gone in for beer. I haven't gone in for anything. Just I don't know why, but I stayed away. And yeah, so going back there, I was very curious to see what had changed, if the painting was different, if they had renovated anything. I don't know.
Oh, they did renovate. It's under new ownership.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
well, there you
it's
go.
no longer Berlin and Rickers.
Is the upstairs area where we perform still there?
Yeah, no, it's still up there. It's now more of a craft beer area.
Okay.
I obviously went there a bit more because of my wife is still busy with her PhD in history, so I do see Stellenbosch a bit more often.
Okay.
Not a lot, but at least once or twice a year. And remember, when we started comedy, I was working there part-time as a barman, and I'd been a barman there from 2010 already, part-time. So that venue was, while I was studying, was like a second home to me. I bartended there. I made great friends there. My ex and I went there a lot. And my wife and I, when we started dating, also went there a lot. So obviously I saw it a bit more. I wasn't really nervous about going back because before that we were doing stand-up comedy at Aandklas, a different venue. And I'd been away for comedy for almost a year and a half, and Aandklas came up, and a Stellenbosch crowd, I always hit my stride with. So from a performing point of view, I'm like, yeah, it's a good place to start up again, to shake off some rust. So I wasn't nervous about it. But on the other hand, I've always been that weird comic. I get nervous after I performed. I've never had butterflies before going on stage. I always have butterflies after I go. Which is weird. I can't explain it. So when people ask me, oh, do you get nervous? No, it's not because I'm some arrogant twat. Okay, I am, but not with this. It's because I just don't get nervous before going on stage. The jitters hit me the moment I've walked off it. Then I go, oh, okay, yeah. I can never explain it. It's always been the other way around with regards to performing on stage. With the stand-up comedy or doing drama pieces or choir or whatnot, it's always been the jitters or afterwards.
Yeah.
But no, to come back to it now, I was looking forward to going back to our home where you and I started, where you and I became friends, where our comedy careers, the loose nuts and everything that thereafter has come from. I was really looking forward to going back to the old stomping grounds and seeing if we still have it with regards to that venue.
Yeah. And speaking of the loose nuts, if any of the other three nuts are watching, just know that we do miss you. And if you do want to come and perform at one of my shows, or if Mikhail's organizing a show, or if there's just a show and we're there, just come, say hi, and maybe do a bit of a set, but come say hi. Definitely miss Alton, Sean, and the other one.
Yeah, Mark.
Yes.
The other one. That other guy.
He used to hate the way I used to pronounce his surname. I won't say his surname because then people will, But yeah, I used to make fun of it all the time, and he hated it. But yeah, he started something amazing there, and I will always be grateful for him doing that. He also, like, at the time when we started, I mean, the whole thing started because someone sent me a picture of, I think at that time it was called the Brazen Head. It's called something else now.
It's now called the Slightly Satisfied Wood.
Yes.
The Happy Oak.
And someone sent me a picture of the Brazen Head, and they were advertising open mic night, stand-up comedy. And then I got in contact with Mark, and him and I basically were like, cool, we're going to start this. There was Campbell Ray. I don't think you met Campbell Ray.
I met him once. I don't think he watched his YouTube. What a tool! And not even a useful one.
Yeah, he was quite full of himself early days, but he eventually the Loose Nuts hadn't formed yet. The Loose Nuts only formed when I think you got. Had we called ourselves the Loose Nuts
No,
before you got
we
involved?
at least know the Loose Nuts. Like I said, I did my first gig, and then Mark and I spoke about the whole management thing, and then I think we did the management thing for about 9 months. So I will take a shot in the dark and say the Loose Nuts only existed about, let's say, a year after the first time I performed with you and Mark.
Yeah.
So it was about a year.
Yeah. Do you
So,
remember? I think I think you got us this gig as well. Uh, Flip, man, it's an Afrikaans venue. Uh,
oh, Opskop.
yes, Opskop. I wanted to say Opie
That was,
Coffee.
no, Opskop, Mark got that gig.
Oh, okay, all right.
And you guys did that gig literally the week before I went on stage the first time.
Okay, all right. See, I don't remember as well as you do. But yeah, so we've taken a very nice stroll through memory lane. This is a very nice. It was such a carefree time. I still have videos of us performing. I remember. I don't know if you remember this. We went to Ellington's once. I can't remember. It was after the photo shoot, I think.
Yeah, we did the podcast.
And we did we sat down and we just like introduced ourselves.
That's where That's Funny came from.
You're right. It is.
That podcast is the reason why That's Funny, as
right.
Obviously it was your brand and whatnot, but that phrase came from that podcast, because the photo shoot, we finished 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we had time to burn, so we went to Ellington's because we were performing there and we knew the staff, and then we were buggering around and made a podcast, and some funny stuff came out of there, actually, apart from that's funny thing, obviously.
That's funny. No, it was good. I might put it up on YouTube. I'll see if I feel generous and brave.
Your old YouTube channel still exists, though.
It does, but I mean, there's no videos of that on there. So I've taken all those off. It's not.
No, your birthday roast videos are still on there. Mm-mm. When we did your roast at Ellington's, did you take it off?
Took it off. Yep.
That was fun. We need to roast you again for your birthday.
I was actually going to do a roast for my 30th, but then I was like, nah.
Let's do a birthday roast next year.
Yeah,
that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Not just because of you, because we, as roasts go, obviously the man of the hour, as it used to be known in the 60s and 70s when Dean Martin, those guys were doing it.
Yeah.
Yes, the man of the hour gets most of the flack, but a lot of the other guests and friends and family from the industry also get flack, and that was fun because you could take a knock at everyone.
Yes.
No, it's nice.
It was a lot of fun. Nelson was also there. He headlined that evening, and it was funny because like Nelson. Maybe I will put that version back on, or that part of it back on, because again, like all the Loose Nuts had their turn. There was also Devin Gray, who was a guest act, and then Nelson, who was the headliner.
I still love his balloon joke. It's still one of the best jokes I've ever heard.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you something off camera or off the record after this about. Just remind me, Devin Gray, and so Nelson did this whole roast for a while, and it was light, but I had put a very embarrassing picture of him on the projector.
It was a really bad picture of him.
And then when he goes off stage, it was so nice. Like, it wasn't nice; it was still insulting, but obviously because it's a roast, But man, when he got off stage and then he saw the picture, you hear him in the background go like, "What the hell? That was my picture!" And then he storms back onto the stage, takes the mic out of my hand, tells me to sit down, and rips me a new one. It was beautiful. Maybe I will put that on YouTube again.
No, I can't. I won't be able to forget. No, we had some good gigs, and they are gigs as the Loose Nuts that stand out to me, and they are gigs as an individual.
Do you remember the Spar birthday one that we did?
I was afraid people were going to eat me.
Yeah, we did. I don't know. I didn't like that one. Out of the gigs that we did as Loose Nuts, I think that one was the most unfavorite one for me because um, I don't. It wasn't our demographic at all. There were kids. Yeah, we all struggled. It was
I
a
actually had a good set, but I improved it.
yes.
Because when I remember going on stage and having cruised around the audience and the crowd, I'm like, my material's not going to hit here. No one is going to have an idea um, what I'm talking about. So I can remember, obviously, I'm as a Manchester United fan, I saw a guy with a Liverpool shirt, and I started improving from there.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to pull material out of my ass because none of what I have is gonna work. But it was a weird gig, and I remember that gig as well because I had to go pick up Mark at
Yes.
his place the morning, and I was having car problems the whole day, as well. So that I was not a happy camper overall because I had to pick up Mark. I think something stupid like 6 o'clock in the morning because we had to be at the gig at 7 already.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, Nelson just commented and said, I have videos of both those encounters. My first guest appearance at
Raisins.
Brazen and the comedy roast at Ellington. So, in other words, even though I may not want to put it up, Nelson, please don't. Not yet. Anyway, as you were saying.
Um, yeah, and then we
Car-
went to
yeah.
we still went to Spur after the gig and got really tipsy at Spur on Castle Drafts because that was the only place we could find close by that we firstly felt safe at, and sold alcohol.
Yes.
And we spent many moons there. And then we went somewhere. No, that's not the evening we went. No, we went to Babushka's after the Boer when we were playing darts and
Yes.
commentating on the darts, which was a
Oh
lot of
my
fun.
word, yeah.
That was a great evening.
That was a great evening. Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. I also remember with the cannabis march. With Nelson was so pissed off that he had to come at like 9 o'clock in the morning. He's like, "Why are we doing this at 9 o'clock in the morning? We people are not awake at 5 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning." He was very pissed off. But we also had a lot of fun on that. We walked around. Um, Nelson's grumpiness made it fun.
We
Um,
started a chant.
yeah, we started. What was it? KFC,
KFC,
make it
make it
free.
free. And people caught
Everybody
on.
started. Yeah, they started. They're like KFC, make it free. KFC. It still isn't free. But yeah, no, that was definitely a lot of fun. I mean, we went to a few. We actually performed a few times during that march. I think, right? Because we did Zula Bar when that was still open.
Yeah,
I
but that
remember.
was that gig was a bugger up
And
because what
Ontario.
happened was, and it still irritates me to this day. We did an afternoon show at Armchair,
Yes.
and that went brilliantly.
Yes.
All
I
of us
actually did.
knocked it out of the park, and we'd only worked out sets for that gig because we were going to MC, which we did, and then we were going to do one main headline gig at Armchair, and that was it. And then halfway through us performing, we found out we were going to go perform at Zula Bar the evening, which in itself is fine, another gig, but we hadn't prepped sets for the second one. And obviously, for those watching, we started out, so we only had that much material to work with. And then the problem was everyone that had watched us at Armchair went with us to Zula Bar.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
we succeeded and bombed with the same material in one day.
Yeah, no. Look, for those of you who are watching, please understand. Like Mikhail said, we were still new to the game. I mean, most of the comedians didn't even know us yet. We Nelson was really our connection to the comedy industry, and actually, you know what, I'm going to say it as well. Nelson, I think on many occasions vouched for us, so and supported us immensely. So Nelson, thank you for that. That you were in my world a very important part of my comedy career, and you always will be. Um, and yeah, so I think being in that situation, look, we definitely learned a lot from that experience. But man, they threw us in the deep end. I mean, I still remember we were. Did we take a bus? That we were going somewhere, and we were
I took
panicking.
my own car.
Yes,
I took my own car because I don't want to be driven around. I want to drive myself. So I drove
yeah.
to the meeting point for the walk, and then I drove with my car to. I know Mark drove with me. I can't remember if you guys drove with me,
I think I
but
may
Mark
have
drove
driven
with
with
me
Nelson.
to Armchair,
Yeah.
and obviously it's a bitch to find parking in OBS. Because firstly, it's a very small place,
Yes.
and everyone is stoned, so no one knows how to park in that bloody area. Hey man, I just parked my car. Yes, halfway around a lamppost, you asshole. But it's fine. I'll park my car in the gutter because it's the only spot I could find. And then I drove from there to around the corner from Zula Bar. So I drove everywhere because the shuttles were bugger up.
They were.
They were supposed to be shuttles, but they did
Nobody
not
knew. Nobody
work.
knew where. Everybody was always asking, "Hey man, do you know where the shuttles are, man? Can't find the shuttle. Do you know?" And I'm like, I look like the organizer? I don't know. I'm also walking. I don't know." And then and it was always followed up with, "All right, man, do you have weed?"
It was a really, really bad episode of Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke, but with South Africans. And I know. But we learned a lot. We definitely learned to always prep extra material,
Yeah.
regardless what people tell you,
Yeah.
firstly. And obviously, a bit selfishly, we actually got paid really well for that gig.
I don't
We
remember.
we got a good payment for it. Yes, I know you
No,
charge a lot
no,
more.
I don't remember. I really don't. I don't remember. I
We
really don't.
made we were paid 1,000 rand each.
What?
Yep. I still remember I gave all of you a grand each that evening.
Some viewers might be like, only 1,000. Trust us, in the industry, that's a lot. And some musicians are right now going like, I should have been a comedian. Nelson says, "Aw, shucks, guys. You're welcome, buddy. Thank you for watching, Nelson." So cool. So we chatted about the loose nuts, which will always be dear to us. We chatted about your love for cars. Obviously, through chatting about loose nuts, we chatted about how you got started. So let's chat a bit about you as someone, as a comedy fan. Is there any comedian, international or local, that you look up to, that you draw inspiration from?
I was waiting for this question, and I because I obviously watched your show with Nelson. Firstly, for research purposes, because I knew after asking very nicely I would come on here, just to have a look at the format. But unfortunately, my answer is going to be very cliche. A lot of guys starting out in comedy and goals will probably go the same. I'm going to be dead honest, hand to heart. It's always been and always will be Robin Williams.
Nice.
He is the sole reason, from a comedian point of view, why I do what I do. Yes, I do comedy as a hobby. My view's always been that with enough practice and polish, if someone were to deem me good enough to do more shows, then I would take the leap.
Yeah.
But at the moment, it's a hobby. It's a fun hobby. Every now and then, I still get paid to do a gig, which is always a bonus. But it's still very much a hobby for me, which doesn't mean you don't have to do it properly. You can still do something properly if it's a hobby. And
Yes.
people sometimes don't understand that. But to get back to the point, Robin Williams has always been my go-to comedian. He's always been my idol.
Yes.
His wit, his brain, and you having performed with me for 7 years, and through the many phases I've fallen into where I'm comfortable, where I do have sets, but they're based very much on improv. And Robin Williams had a talent for that. He would write out a set, but so much of that would end up being improv, and he would go a mile a minute. I'm not talking, obviously, when I say mile a minute, I'm not talking about the late 80s and 90s when it was filled with cocaine. But even sober Robin Williams' stand-up comedy, yes, it was structured. There was a script, but there was so much improv to it and so much energy and so much being ridiculous. And I've always loved that, and I've always found that an inspiration. Have I tried to model myself after him? No, I couldn't. I would be doing him a great insult to what he's done by saying, no, I model myself after Robin Williams. But as an inspiration, yes. Local comedians, I've got a question for you a bit later on. I'm gonna switch it around a bit. But before I get there, local comedians, even though he's a good friend of ours, I've actually always enjoyed Nelson's stand-up style of comedy. I have.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, he has a great style of comedy.
He does.
A good friend of ours, Wesley Cockrell, I've
Yes.
also enjoyed.
Yes.
Because of his dry, dark humor, which I sometimes emulate. The problem is he's got a joke very similar to mine. No hacking. It was just by chance. It was because of the Savannah Comedy showcase that you and I did. I had to change my set 2 minutes before going on because he went on before me and he dropped his joke. And I'm like, I can't do mine because everyone's going to think I copied him. The set went well, but I'm like, yep, I had a set. It's out of the window now. No, so Nelson, Wesley Cockrell, and then a guest of yours, but from a comedy theater and a skit point of view, Mel Sieberhalter.
Yes. Yeah.
What he's done for Afrikaans and comedy, and especially sketch comedy in Afrikaans, is absolutely amazing. And I have a lot of respect for him, and as someone that sees himself as a staunch Afrikaner, with regards to loving my language and my culture and how my people have grown and what they've done. Not the bad things, obviously. We've got a lot of that as well. From Afrikaans' point of view, he's really an inspiration and has done great things. And then I have a lot of respect for the people that have gone and had great careers. Not so much as inspiration, but respect. People that started out doing open mic slots at shows we organized and have gone on to do well.
Yeah. Chantal Venter, Jared Pillay.
Chantal did an open mic slot for a gig that you were organizing and where I performed at. One of Jared's first open mic slots was a show I organized in Somerset West. And it's so cool seeing them grow and go forward, and not from a I'm holier than thou powerful point of view that I had a hand in their career. No, it was nice seeing them fresh and from the boat and where they are now. And
exactly.
I was there, and that's cool. So yes, international inspiration, Robin Williams, friends and acquaintances of ours that do great comedy, whose humor I get and love. Nelson, Wesley, and Malt is very much a person I respect. And then just I appreciate the friends we've made that started out fresh with us and what they've gone on to do.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Well, we're going to end off just now. So tell me what that question was that you wanted to ask.
I'm going to flip it on his head, and I've been very well behaved until now, but I'm going to end off by upsetting people because that's what I do. I'm the only person you know that comes with a disclaimer from birth.
Go ahead. It's YouTube. I don't care.
Yeah, but my existence comes with a disclaimer. Whether you and I perform together or have a bride together, I come with a disclaimer. I usually upset people, and I most of the time don't care either. What is your view? I'll give you my answer after I've heard yours. What is your view on not so much the South African Cape Town, the South African comedy community, but the Cape Town comedy community? What is your view and opinion of it?
I literally don't understand the question you just asked. What is my view on not the Cape Town community, but what is your view on the Cape Town community? What?
No, I fell over my words. I apologize. I was getting so excited about upsetting people, I tripped. not the South African community. So don't look at comedy in SA as a whole.
Okay.
Our little microverse, which is Cape Town comedy, that community that we reside in. What is your view of that community?
I love it. I don't know. Maybe you need a bit. Look, I think well, yeah. Look. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of, and this is like advice for anyone who's watching who wants to be a stand-up comedian. There are a lot of issues. There are a lot of, man, I don't even know where to begin. But I would say that the community overall, as a whole, we all want the same thing. And it is no more clearer than it is right now in this pandemic. Look at all the comedians, whether it's Mark Lottering, Barry Hilton, to guys like us, that we just want to produce content. We want to entertain and we want to make people laugh. The attitude that I've seen from a lot of the comedians right now on the circuit and in the industry, it just shows our passion, our love, and our dedication to the art for, like I said, wanting to make people laugh. Right now, and this is probably, I might get a bit of flack for this, but before the pandemic, there were cliques. There was always people that were together. They were always together. They would always book each other. That still exists. You're always going to find people that you gel with nicely, and you're going to work with them a lot. That's fine. Chad and I discussed that in our previous show, but and I get that. That's fine. Everyone's going to have their own friends and stuff like that. And some people might see that as being cliquey. Some people might see that as, oh, well, they're only looking out for each other. But you know what? We did the same thing with the Loose Nuts. We were booking each other. We were looking out for each other. And we got to a point where some of us were getting busier with comedy. And one guy had to go off and do his own thing. And the other one had to go off and do his own thing. And that's fine. That happens. One thing I will say is that, yes, like any business, like any job that you do, you're going to have people that you encounter that you may not like, may rub you the wrong way.
So everyone for me then.
But we all want the same thing, and that's to make people laugh. And the Cape Town community right now has grown immensely from when you and I started. Like it's like doubled. And there are guys out there that I deeply respect, and there are guys out there that I'm like, I need to see a little bit more before I can respect you. I like you. I think I like everyone. Maybe one or two that I don't like, but they know that, and people who know me know who they are, and I don't need to go into that right now. But the Cape Town community as a whole, I think, is a beautiful place. It's awesome. I love the brotherhood that does exist, even though sometimes it doesn't, but it's there. And yeah, that's. Can we do better? Absolutely. Will we? I don't know. Do I like it? Yes.
All right. I'm taking you waiting for my answer now.
You can answer if you want to.
All right. No, I'm going to open a can of worms and then leave you on a bombshell. And run away. Okay. As a whole, yes. I think our Cape Town comedy community, we've made great friends and even great acquaintances. People that we might not see for 6 months, and the next moment we share a stage, and it's good to see you and how you've been doing. And then I'm going to do a name drop because he's the most sweetest man I've ever met in comedy. We all love Pius because he's just sweet and adorable and loving. And for example, you can go a year without doing a gig with him, and when you see him, you just fall in love with him again because he's just a sweet, massive teddy bear of a person. So yes, I think the community as a whole, it is a good community. And yes, we all do it for the same reason, and that's to make people laugh. That's the whole point of stand-up comedy, is to make people laugh. And then obviously from a personal point of view, many of us use it as a form of escape. Whatever that might be, it's their personal case, and we have no right to ask about it. But yes, many of us use it as an escape from something in life. The problem I have, and it's not even with the clicks, we were guilty of it. You look out for your friends because because they're your friends.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not going to book you over Bob because I think Bob's a twat. I'm going to book you over Bob because we've walked a path together.
Yeah.
We've shared the stage. We've shared friendships. We've shared memories outside of comedy.
Yeah.
And I'm very blessed to say that outside of comedy, I have you, Nelson, as great friends.
Yes.
And if I ever do take the chance of organizing a comedy gig again, I think I'm brave enough to do that. It's a lot of work. Yes, obviously, you guys will be top of my list to book. Not because I have any malicious feelings towards the other comedians. It's just obviously you can book your friends because those are the people that mean something to you and you want to share stage with them. It's performing with my friends is not just a night of comedy, it's a night out with friends as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's very much a psychological thing to it. The problem I have is the pettiness that you find. I have a problem with that. The office politics between stand-up comedians I find absolutely stupid. And here's the problem I have, and this is before someone in the comments go, yeah, you just want an excuse to rough people up. That's not what it's about. I was raised, and I don't have a problem with saying it, that if you have a problem with someone, you confront them about it. And you do it. There's no questions asked about it. If I have a problem with you from a comedic point of view, and even if it might get personal, I'm going to stand in front of you, and I don't care what career you've had, I'm going to call you out on it. And I expect the same to me. I feel that if I can call someone on bullshit, I need to have the same. Now, that's the problem I've had. I've had encounters with certain comedians. I'm not going to name them. You are very much aware of certain comedians I dislike that will have a problem, but will do little bitchy hairdresser back in some room no one has looked at because it's not lit because of load shedding, and go, yo, but Mikhail was so and so, dude, and man the fuck up, Buttercup, and call me out on it. And if you can't call me out on it, then I'm sorry, then you're a coward. You're not worth my time. You're not. I actually then have a greater dislike for you and your existence as a whole because you're not willing to call me out on it. Or you are suddenly very offended because my feelings, because I've called you out on it. You've been a twat. I'm going to call you out on it because you've been a twat.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem with it, then, like I said, deal with it. So take me to the side and call me out on it. The most drastic example, and we've discussed it at Bry's and get-togethers, I had a problem with a comedian, and I called him out on it. And then he got really upset about it, and I said, you know, the reason I can call you out on it is because I've realized that certain comedians in the community don't have the stones to back it up and then take you on them up. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that petty cowardice, and I find that toxic. We don't have a problem going on stage and ripping into politicians and celebrities and sports stars, family, friends, ourselves, but off stage, we're not willing to do that.
Yep.
And I have a problem with that. The persona you have on stage by challenging someone. You don't have a problem challenging a heckler. This is a person in front of you while you're on stage, and you usually call him out on his bullshit. But you're not willing to do that off the stage, outside. I'm not talking about gruffing them up and having a rerun of Green Street Hooligans. That's not what I'm implying. I'm just saying, call each other out, keep each other in line, and no one does that. They make it worse by having this little back alley discussions about each other. And obviously not all of them. Not all of them is guilty of it, and I will admit I might have possibly been guilty of it. I don't think I have. But I think
you've always been quite straightforward, even with me, and when we were doing the loose nuts as well. So,
well, thank you. That means that I at least am what I say I am. But I think it could be toxic. I think that and as you say, if this truly means that something as terrible as this pandemic has put that to rest, then I think it's a blessing. I think it's a blessing for us as comedians and as comrades. Oh goodness, I sound like an EFF running. But the point is, if we can get closer to one another because of this, and put this pettiness aside, and possibly something that could be toxic, then I'm all for it. Then I think it's really, really, really great. But like I said, there's a can of worms that I needed to open, and I apologize profusely if
your
platform wasn't.
No. What you said is very true. There is. I think it can be boiled down as simple as there's a lot of times, and we've had this discussion with all the comedians. Or rather, I should say, all the comedians have had this discussion where we're like, hey, like even if I'm not on the lineup, share my show, because the more we share and the more we support each other, the more people are going to know about it. Let's not all be selfish. And I mean, I know that's maybe not exactly what you're talking about, but it's that same mentality, that same person who doesn't share, who thinks about themselves, are the same ones that are going to talk behind your back and be petty. And maybe not all of them, but I've seen it. We've all experienced it, and we have talked about it in the industry. That hey, guys, let's start caring for one another. Let's start banding together as comedians. And I still stand for that. I would very much like to see after this pandemic that we're all going to need each other's help. Whether you're a Rob Van Buren, Mark Lottering, or a Mikhail or a Joe Emilio or Nelson Tegavea, we are all going to need each other's help. And a share costs nothing. And I think that once we can get past our differences, once we can get past that whole mentality of, and this is where it's going to be even more controversial, for example, a lot of the comics are like, well, I'm in this for me. I'm going to take care of number one. And yes, you should. You should take care of number one, obviously. But there are moments where a share is not going to hurt your comedy career, supporting another person's gig is not going to hurt your comedy career. Telling people about another show is not going to hurt your comedy career. I myself am always trying to tell people to go to a show of a fellow comedian. They might not even be my best friend, but I know that they've worked hard. I know that they're doing something for the first time that they've been working very hard to get to. And I tell people, hey, you know what? So-and-so is doing a one-man show. He's new, but flip, he's funny. Go check him out. And I think that if we can get beyond that mental block that some of us have, things might be a little bit better. I don't know. I'm guilty. I am guilty of, oh, well, I'm not going to share this guy because blah, 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 and I feel jealous, blah, 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 or envious or whatever. But I do try and share as much as possible. I try and smack myself in the face and say, no, having that attitude is not good for the comedy industry. And I'm all about supporting the comedy industry as much as possible. So that's why I'm doing this YouTube channel. I don't know how helpful it is to some people or anyone, but at least other comedians can come on. We have a nice chat, whether it be controversial or not. And more people watch it because they have nothing better to do. And hopefully learn about Mikhail Kunneke or Nelson Tegavea or whoever, and research and Google and find clips and hopefully that helps. And I'm not going to be biased to whoever wants to be on this show. Anyone, whoever's watching, comedian, any comedian can be on this show, whether you're new, starting out, even if you're aspiring. Send me an email. Get in touch with me on my inbox, on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Ask to come on my show. Nothing wrong with that. That's the kind of comic I am. I'm not going to discriminate, and I hope that other comedians will follow suit. And having said that, I will say this: the majority of comedians think the way I do. There's a very small club, if I can put it that way, that
spoil it for the rest of us.
yeah, exactly. And they're actually, you know what? They're slowly changing. I've seen it. Those guys are slowly changing. They're realizing the errors of their ways, and they are becoming better. But again, like I said in my little response to you, there's always going to be people that rub you the wrong way. I mean, it could be that simple case of sometimes you walk into a room, you don't like someone. You know, we're not all going to get along, and I get that. And so be it. If you don't like me, that's fine. But if I'm performing on a stage, you're also on the lineup. Whatever problems we have with each other, that stays at the door. We are there to perform and entertain the people. And I tell that to a lot of people. Pius has that same mentality of, you know what, I stay away from drama. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I try my best not to get involved in politics as much as possible. But yeah.
The thing is, from my side is, obviously I'm in full agreement, and I very much have a pious view about it. Usually, 9 out of 10 times I'm not physically involved in any confrontation to start off with, because I have better things to do with my life. But via you or Nelson or whatever grapevine, because yes, I'm still a stand-up comedian from a hobby point of view, but I've been doing this for 7 years, and not only you, Nelson, but I have struck friendships with many other comedians and follow their careers and look forward to seeing them. I love Chantal to bits. She's my Brockband sister, and I will always love her. She's my comedian friend where I can be completely obscene and she'll look at me and I get this, and I love it.
Yeah.
So yes, overall the politics I stay away from because I find it petty and childish, as I started off with. But even if I'm not, the other 9 out of the 10 times I'm not involved, it still upsets me and still rubs me the wrong way because I don't always get why it needs to be done.
Yeah.
Yes, whether you do it full time to put food on your table or whether you do it as a hobby and every now you get paid so you can at least cover your fuel or at least know that I did a good enough gig as a hobbyist that I can buy bread and milk the next morning with the money I earn. We still should do it as properly as we can and be as professional about it as we can.
Yes.
And that professionalism is not just on stage, it's off stage. Yes, I 100% agree with you. In my case, you've known me 7 years, you've been a good friend of mine, and Nelson will say the same. I have a very black and white personality. There are only extremes to me. Either you get along with me and you're my friend, or you hate me. I've never had people that just, he exists. It's either you like me or you hate me. I unfortunately have two very strong polar opposites. But yes, you'll never get along with everyone in life. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. And not just within a little microcosm we call the Cape Town comedy community. Life as a whole.
Oh, we seem to have lost you. Okay, there you go. You're back. Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
I'm just trying to get it back online again.
All right, now we have no audio. That explains it. We have lost Mikhail, ladies and gentlemen. I think the comedy gods were listening in and were like, that's enough from you. Man, okay. I think he's got a bit of a connection problem. I'm going to give him a few moments and see if he'll come back on. Yeah, no, for those of you who are listening, that conversation can be quite heated. But I think the majority of comedians do feel the same way I do. At least I think. I could be wrong. But I do want to get along with every comedian. I am a huge fan of all the comedians that are on the circuit. There's not one that I really, I'm like, even the guys that I don't like personally, I still respect them as comedians. I still enjoy them as comedians, because I can put my petty difference aside. I don't care. Yes, I might not like you as a person, but as a comedian, you make people laugh, and I respect that. I can do that. I have no problem with that. But yeah, I'm just waiting on Mikhail to see if he will come back online. Let's see if we can. I'm going to try and call him back and see. Sorry, guys. Yeah, we've been going. This is our longest, my longest stream thus far. It's been going for 2 hours. The president did take up quite a bit of that. Oh, there he is. Okay. Where? Why isn't it? Huh? Okay, I don't know what happened there. I don't know who's still with us. Apparently, we still have two viewers. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us. There we go. And
I'm
is back. I'm waiting for the video feed. There we go. There's that sexy beast.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think Nelson is the only one that's still with us. We still have one viewer.
No. Obviously, I'll quickly finish off. Now, I double check my battery and my laptop screw.
Okay.
Yeah. No. So, just to finish off, yes. Obviously, in life, not just in comedy. Obviously, in life, you'll never get along with everyone. It's completely impossible to. But there's a difference with not getting along with someone and being a complete arse to them.
Yes.
And that's relevant to all walks of life.
Yes.
So I'm in agreement with you. I really hope that the stand-up comedy community in Cape Town, we from this pandemic and going out from there, we put a lot of the pettiness aside. I really do hope that we not only grow as comedians, but as people as a whole, that we don't have to worry about or get upset about people losing their shit behind closed doors about other people. Either you get along with them or you don't, but be professional about it. And once again, if you have a problem with someone, take them aside and at the very least, at least discuss it. You don't have to walk away friends thereafter. You don't. That is not, you're not obligated to.
Yeah.
But at least if you can walk away with a greater understanding than you had before you entered, then I see that as a win.
Yeah.
So yeah, on that bombshell,
spoken like Top Gear there. Top Gear reference.
I have the car YouTube going, so I need to have some. But before we close off, I just want to say thank you. Not just from a friend's point of view, but this podcast and these shows with the comedians, I think unknowingly, you're giving some of us a bit of an outlet. We all want stage time, whether you are the full-time comedian that's dependent on putting food on your table from it, or in my case, someone that has a great love of the stage and even as a hobby, go out to always do my best and offer the best product I can, so that obviously I want also, as a person like me that's a hobbyist, wants more gigs and wants to perform more, but you have to be polished and be professional about it. And at the moment, none of us have stage time. And this platform you've created, even if it's only Nelson watching us, thank you, Nelson!
Speaking of him, he actually said now to your comments, in quotation marks, he says, if you have a problem with someone, take them aside and shoot them. Thank you, Nelson.
On the one hand, if Becky Chele is watching this, our mobster policeman, I'll choose my words carefully, because Big Brother is watching.
Yeah.
Nelson, yes, but also no.
Shoot them with like a water gun or something.
No, that's kind of pointless. But yeah, no, you've given, even if it's only 3 people watching, you've given us a platform, not only to discuss where we came from and what we're doing, but we still actually have fun on this platform and can tell jokes and be funny about it. So we unknowingly get a bit of stage time.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, I can only say thank you.
You're welcome.
You're
most welcome.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm going to sign you off now. Stay on the line. I'll chat to you offline. Off air, sorry.
All right.
So I was actually going to ask if you had any final words, but I guess those were the final words.
Yeah, it's just a big, big thank you. And obviously to all the other comedians that have been on and will be on. Thank you for being on. You guys have also used this platform not only to discuss serious stuff, because apparently we have to do that as comedians. I don't know why, but and obviously we have our 5 minutes of actually being funny. Whether it's one person watching or 10 people watching, we have a bit of stage time.
Yeah.
So for the guys coming up after me, you'll probably get more views because you're most likely less of a twat than I am. I am a self-proclaimed arsehole, and we all know it. And obviously, good luck to the other comedians that are not getting stage time. Stay safe. I'm not going to say stay sane because none of us are. We're all completely nuts, and yeah, we shouldn't actually function in public, but we do.
Yeah.
Or we try to. We give a facade of functionality.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone be safe. Everyone watching, all the comedians that have been on and will be on this lovely platform in the future, be safe, stay safe. And if you can keep yourselves and your close family and friends healthy, then do so. And remember, Big Brother's watching, and be careful of Bikitele.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mikhail Kunneke. Yes, Kunneke. Nelson, thank you so much for watching and tuning in and staying during this entire 2 hours. Now, for those of you who might be watching later, if you made it this far, thank you. These shows are not normally 2 hours. I try and keep them with 1 hour, but obviously we had a guest performance by Cyril Ramaphosa giving some very important information to the nation. And yeah, we've been extended for another 2 years. 2 years, God, I hope it doesn't go that far. 2 weeks. That's not fake news. I corrected myself. So yeah, for those of you who are watching, that's what's happened tonight. And also, I had Mikhail Kunneke, who I will definitely have back on the show, because while he was talking now, I realized that there's more things that we can talk about. And I might do maybe a conference call with Nelson and Mikhail if they're keen, where we'll talk about the SA Comics Choice Awards, the one that we all three of us went to. I think that would be an interesting conversation to have, and we can reminisce once again about the past. But ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night I have a very interesting guest coming onto the show. His name is Sebastiano Ola. He's Italian. He's a vlogger. He is actually also got a new YouTube channel, D-Questioner. He has a show called Trigger Warning, who Nelson de Gouveia also edits for him and does a fantastic job doing so. Please go check it out. He's going to be on the show tomorrow. He wants to be controversial, and if you go check out his channel, D-Questioner, you'll see it is quite controversial. So we're going to talk about some we're going to talk about some controversial things tomorrow night. So tune in 8 p.m. It'll only be an hour. We'll go back to the hour, but tonight was just a special case. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, good night. Stay safe. Stay safe. Wash the hands. And I'll see you here tomorrow night, same place, same time. Good night.